In modern history, world leaders facing a wartime scenario typically use language that is vetted, deliberate, and designed to leave room for a diplomatic off-ramp. Donald Trump has abandoned that baseline. He has moved to social media to issue highly profane threats directly to Iranian leadership, telling them to open their shipping lanes or he will turn their entire country into a living hell. Trump went as far as naming specific dates for the destruction of civilian infrastructure, designating upcoming days as Power Plant Day and Bridge Day, while giving Iran a strict 48-hour deadline to comply with his demands. The trigger for this ultimatum is the potential closure of the Strait of Hormuz. A significant portion of the global oil supply passes through this narrow waterway, making it one of the most sensitive economic choke points on Earth. These outbursts represent a deliberate dismantling of established diplomatic protocols. By prioritizing public threats over private negotiation, the administration is replacing the international rule of law with a raw might makes right approach. Executing a strategy this chaotic requires a specific type of internal command structure, one that has been undergoing a rapid and controversial transformation. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth recently described the potential war with Iran as a religious fight for Jesus Christ, a framing that has caused deep concern within the upper ranks of the Pentagon. This religious rhetoric clashes with the reality of a diverse U.S. military that includes Muslims, Hindus, Sikhs, and secular personnel who are now being asked to fight under an explicitly sectarian ideological banner. Any career officers who opposed this shift or the broader war strategy have been systematically removed. In the middle of an active crisis, several top four-star generals were abruptly fired or forced into retirement. When asked to explain these dismissals during a congressional hearing, Hegseth refused to provide a specific reason for the purge, stating only that these generals serve at the pleasure of the president. By removing dissenting experts and evading legislative oversight, the administration has cleared the path for a military policy driven entirely by the president's personal directives. This policy targets the very things that keep a society functioning: civilian transportation, power grids, and bridges. Under the Geneva Conventions, destroying civilian infrastructure is a war crime due to the impact on non-combatants. Destroying a grid or bridge isn't just hitting a physical target. You cut off food, medicine, and power for hospitals. To bypass these legal protections, the administration plans to claim these targets are dual use. They will argue that because the Iranian military also uses this infrastructure, it loses its civilian status and becomes a legitimate target for bombing. By twisting these legal definitions to authorize carpet bombing, the administration is effectively making the international laws of armed conflict irrelevant to their mission. This strategy points toward a campaign of mass civilian casualties, with no clear plan for what happens after the bombing stops. The catastrophic damage seen in Gaza over the last year provides a visual baseline for the kind of total infrastructure collapse that an open-ended bombing campaign in Iran would produce. Indian Foreign Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar has noted that this shift toward total confrontation is part of a broader, more dangerous trend in global politics. Jaishankar warns that we have entered an era where every element of modern life, from trade routes to civilian power, is being actively weaponized to exert pressure on rivals. When legal guardrails are bypassed and internal dissent is purged, the rules that once governed international behavior begin to fade. As Jaishankar has observed, we are now moving into an environment where every single civilian asset is a potential target, and the only remaining principle is that might is right.